James Whitey Bulger was found dead earlier this week at a prison in West Virginia. The Justice Department is investigating his death as a homicide, and according to the Boston Globe, a convicted mafia hitman who once lived in West Springfield is a prime suspect. 51-year-old Freddie Geas is serving a life sentence in West Virginia in connection with the murder of Springfield mob boss Al Bruno.
Talk to me, if you don't mind, and then bring it up to here. Tell me about Freddie and Ty. What kind of guys do you don't know? You said he went to high school with these guys.
I've known him since a kid. I've
known him
since
people
we
know.
were kids.
So were these guys was Freddie always like that gangster mentality, or since growing up, or?
Yeah. He, we had a little crew of high school kids, and after that, in our early, in our teenager years, and yeah, Freddie was always a tough guy. I mean, he was really, a really big, strong guy. He didn't take any shit. He was a great fighter. He loved to fight. But he was a pretty smart guy too, And his brother Ty, he's probably 4 or 5 years younger than me. So, you got to remember, I'm 18, 19, 20 years old. Ty's 13, 14 years old at the time. So I didn't really pay attention to Ty. I knew him a little bit as he got older. But, not in those early years because he was so much younger than me. But, complete opposites. I mean, Ty, he's just a violent guy. He would just, you could just bump into him by mistake, and he's gonna smash you in the head with a bottle and just beat you half to death.
Yeah.
Freddie will kill you too, and he'll give you a beating, but he's gonna think about it for a second, and usually he's gonna jump in. He's not gonna be the first one to start throwing punches, but he'll definitely be the last one.
Yeah.
He'll be the one to finish it. But no, he was a little bit more reserved. And he thought first a little bit, and Ty would just fly off the handle and wreck you.
So you could say, though, that Freddie, though, and I don't know if this is true, maybe you could clarify this. You said that he always had that gangster mentality and stuff, though, but wasn't he a prison guard?
Yeah, he was. But, nobody wanted to be law enforcement, so in Springfield, there really wasn't any good jobs. And I have so many friends that were little criminals as young guys, and they all became prison guards because it was the highest paying job there was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because anybody wanted to be a cop and arrest people. It wasn't that. Cops just don't like people, and they become cops because they got beat up in high school, and they want to go and arrest people and hurt their families and them. People that become prison guards, and I'm not making an excuse for them, but where I came from, it was the best paying job. We had a huge prison. Mm-hmm. We had a local jail where a lot of my friends went to work, and then we had the big prison right across the border in Connecticut, and it was just a great paying job. And that's where a lot of people just went there because it was good money. It was the highest paying job there was.
No, I know. I was
without an education.
I was shocked at first, though, when I heard that, though, because how he grew up and stuff. But like you said, though, there's not many high-paying jobs. So then he must not have been doing scheming and doing this and that a lot on the street then back in those days.
I mean, yeah, he was. I mean, he's been going to jail since the late '80s. He was stealing trailers, full of computers. He was doing all kinds of crimes.
That's right. That's right. Okay,
yeah, no, his criminal background goes all the way back to high school, and there was a fight between, I'm from West Springfield, we call it West Side, and our rivalry in football and hockey and everything was Agawam, one more town over.
Yeah.
And there was a big old fight between everybody, and next thing I wasn't there, but next thing you know, Ty's freaking shooting. And he's in high school. He's a high school kid, and they're pulling out guns back in high school and shooting.
Nuts, yeah.
He was shooting up in the air. Luckily, he didn't shoot anybody. But he went to jail for that.
Yeah.
He went to jail at 16 years old for firing a gun into a crowd. Over a street fight.
I heard Ty was more the type of person, though. I know a couple of guys like that around here, though. With just no hesitation, though, is just gonna hit you, and just that type of guy.
Yeah, I mean, he goes to jail for a few years for shooting the gun, and while he's in prison, he catches another case for beating a prison guard half to death.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't mess with Ty. Ty would hurt you. He's had so many assault and batteries, over the years as a young guy. Puts me to shame. Way more than I ever had.
Yeah, was Ty? I mean, how tall was Ty?
Ty's, when he got older, he probably got to about 6 foot. 6 foot.
Oh, okay.
He was a solid.
Freddie's 6'3", right?
Yes. Freddie's a little bit bigger, and Freddie's muscular too, and Ty's very muscular too, but more of a lean, like a swimmer's type, muscle. And Freddie's just big and bulky, and he was intimidating guys. Necks is, both their necks are as wide as their heads, and they're just tough looking guys. He didn't mess with them.
So then, what then brings them then together though? With it was, I believe, Anthony Arlotta met Ty in prison.
That's exactly what happened. He met Ty in prison. The whole time they're in prison, they're talking about, hey, when we get out, let's do this, let's do that. Arlotta had a ton of stuff going on. He was very successful before he even met the Springfield Mob. Doing all kinds of different things and huge in the marijuana business.
Yeah.
And, he told Ty, hey, when you get out and I get out, we'll do some stuff together, because he recognized how capable a guy Ty was. But unfortunately, Ty caught that second case for beating up the prison guard. But the whole time they were in jail, Freddie was visiting Ty and visiting Freddie at the same time. So they all became friends. So when Arlotta got out of prison, he hooked up with Freddie Geas while Ty was still doing his time.
Yeah,
because that's how they all became a little crew.
Because wasn't the Ty supposed to get out like around 91 when Anthony was supposed to get out, but he had to stay in for like an extra 5 years because of that prison guard beatdown?
Yeah, and I think he did like 3 years, but yeah, that's exactly what happened. Okay. So yeah, but those guys were in and out of jail, 1 to 3, 1 to 5 years, every couple of years. They're catching cases. Yeah. They're just getting into a lot of trouble. So it's hard to keep track of who was in and who was out at the same time.